Hey, it's the Queen. And if you are a black business owner and looking for an opportunity to showcase your brand, join the Black Business Summit August the 3rd from 12 to 3 p.m. Connect with the Queen. Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Crew Podcast. I am your visionary, Queen Angela. And if you are a diva that's looking to amplify your voice and you're looking for a home, we have space for you. Come on over and join them divas of the airways and amplify your voice.
Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be now. Where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be now.
At Wings of Transformation Publishing, we are committed to helping our authors reach their goals and pursue their dreams of becoming published authors. We work closely with each author to ensure a successful publishing experience, and we are dedicated to helping them tell their stories in the most meaningful and impactful ways. We look forward to putting you on the path to writing your book.
I know the Lord will see you through. Turn to somebody and say, trouble don't last. I know the Lord will see you through. Turn to somebody and say, trouble don't last. Yeah, trouble don't last always. Do you really mean it? Come on, say it again, trouble.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in once more to the Nations with Prophet Simone Williams Young. I'm so excited that you guys are joining me today. I'm so excited for the topic that we have. I'm so excited for the guest that I have on this evening. Hello, Shanette. Thank you so much for joining. And hi, Lakeisha. Thank you for joining. Well, you guys, today we are going to honor the widowers. Hi, Mom. We're going to honor the widowers today. And my special guest is actually my husband, Senior Elder Reuben Young, and he is also a purpose coach. And before we were married, there was a point of time in his life where he became a widower, and he did have to raise our son on his own for a while. And so I'm going to bring him on. And so you can... Hi, babe. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. And you?
Good. So just telling the audience, just, because we are honoring the widowers, on this particular show, and the fact that you have already gone on this particular journey, and, just letting people, bringing awareness that there are men who are doing a lot. We always showcase, how women, we have to do so much. We have to wear so many hats. but there are men out there who do have to wear a lot of hats as well, and just trying to bring a little awareness. And if you can give the audience a little bit of information about yourself, if you want to go ahead and go right into your journey with your experience of war.
Okay, sure. First, I just want to make sure you can hear me because I'm getting some little feedback maybe on my end. So let me make a few adjustments and see if you can hear me clearly. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. You said tell the audience a little bit about me.
Yes, tell the audience a little bit about you and what you're doing right now.
We'll be here all night. So the short version is right now I am a full-time ministry. I all that I've been through has allowed me to have the qualifications and the skills and the abilities to be a leader, leading my family, leading God's people. I'm a husband, hopefully a good one. Y'all have to ask Simone that later on when I'm off. Uh, a grandfather, a father, a friend of many, an enemy of none. I'm an author, I'm an entrepreneur, a business owner, and a dreamer. And I believe in family, I believe in structure, I believe in love. I'm a child of God, I'm a man of God.
Amen.
And I would say for the most part, through all that, I'm a fighter.
That's right. I see it every day. But if we can go into briefly, before we got married, there was a point in your life, you were married to Julia, our son's mom, and she ended up passing away, and then which placed you in the position of having to be a father, on your own, trying to make things happen. Can you just give us a little bit of a backstory on that?
Yes, revisiting that in my mind and my spirit kind of takes me to a place where all I could say it was a painful place, but necessary because it was out of my hands. And being a man of faith and being a spiritual man, that's the only thing that I can chalk it up to as being spiritual and something that was out of my hands. Uh, it was sudden. She was sick with a few conditions. One of them was called sarcoidosis, which the cells, the function of the red cells and the white cells no longer recognized one another and began to fight one another within the blood system. Which, when she was diagnosed with sarcoidosis, it was maybe in its deep or latter stages once it was recognized, and it had already entered the brain, which caused brain tumors. At this particular time, I was unaware of the diagnosis because she knew that I loved her and she kind of kept the information from me. And also, she was a woman of faith as well. So she didn't want to speak it into existence, but it was basically kind of like already
Already, yeah.
in existence. And God had already had the final say so to use it to transition her and allow her to graduate from this life on to the next.
Well,
So revisiting that place comes with a lot of mixed emotions, but with now a lot of understanding. And that understanding has given me peace.
mhm.
And it gave me peace at that time, uh, as a husband and as a father. The journey with our son will open up a lot of other things that I was unaware of because I was uneducated and ignorant to the ways of the world and the system.
Okay.
And it was a real rude slap in the face.
Ooh. Real quick before we get into that part, I know on my last show, I had shared about, my experience with our pastor, uh, when Ashton was killed, and how our pastor really um kind of held my hand, and he kept pushing, the type of man of God that we are under, Chief Apostle Michael L. Rose of the Wrecking Crew. Can you give me a little bit of experience, on that end, with our pastor, because I know, he was pretty hands on with you.
Yes, excuse me. The leadership and the mentoring aspect from our spiritual father, excuse me, it intensified. He made sure that other men, such as Pastor Earl,
Mhm.
being one at the time, and Pastor Tony being another one at the time, really kind of be there for me and look out for me. He understood that I needed strong brothers. He discerned that the leadership that was in them and the brotherhood that we had formed at the time, because the name of the church artillery that we had at the time was brotherhood. We had a brotherhood ministry at the time. So he made sure there were capable, strong men and leaders around me to encourage me and to keep me focused. And he understood what I've already had in me, but he knew that something as strong and as serious and important as losing a spouse,
Mhm.
he didn't want to leave any room for the enemy to come in and try to play on the weakness and the hurt and my Christian integrity as a man of God in my weakened and vulnerable state. So
Yes.
he made sure that I was surrounded by strong, capable, wise men. When he couldn't be around, he made sure they were around to come and check on me as he did as well. So the leadership that me being a part of at that time and still a part of right now to this day helped mold and shaped and kept me in a certain place where I needed to be, especially through that time of trauma and tragedy.
Yes. Yes.
And
You know
having
it.
a prayer life at the same time.
Mhm. Absolutely, and that's one thing I
And no,
know, is that you're a man of prayer, and prayer is important, and having a village is important. When through that particular journey, your village around you makes a big difference on the experience, or that you will have in that journey. And so that's why it's also really important not to push your village away, when you're going through things
yeah,
of that particular nature, because you need your village when you're going through grief. Absolutely. Okay, if we could go ahead and get a little bit into, um I've heard over the years, sometimes men, I hear it through the grapevine, I guess you can say, where men will say, women, you have it so much easier. You guys have all the resources. When you don't have uh you know uh a male person to help take care of your child. The systems normally gear things to helping women, but I have heard down the line men also say, we don't get the same thing that you guys get, or they run us through the loop hard, a little harder when it comes to men receiving help and receiving services. When you are a single father, not just a single father or a widower, but a full-time father, doing it by yourself. So can you go into a little bit of what your experience was like, when it came time to get some help and get some resources, because now you were on your own and, trying to figure this thing out. If you could kind of give us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, sure. Concerning the help and the resources, I found out real quick that I had to wake up early and I had to get ourselves dressed and motivated and inspired to tackle whatever day was in front of us, because I knew that we would have, speaking of me and my son, when he was in school at the time, or he would say he didn't have to go to the daycare, I basically had to bring him and carry him with me. And so at the time, thank you. At the time, I had to get up early and make it out to the bus. He has to use the restroom. We have to go back in the house. We have to come back out and then wait on the next bus to get to where we're going. Which all this at the same time was new to me, because of course when his mom, was living at the time, we would all basically be together, or I would go ahead and go to school or go to work at the time. I think I had to do both. I was in school and I had a job, and he was only basically like in pre-K. So I had to get him to pre-K, then I had to go catch my bus to go take care of the business where he didn't have to be present. So I quickly became a file clerk. I checked with the Department of Social Services, which was willing to provide aid, because I had the birth certificate and the Social Security card, and I had the death certificate, and I had all the documents and the files that I needed. So I had to become a file clerk with handling and making sure that I had everything that they needed, so that the process wouldn't be as frustrating and strenuous as it could have been. I had to stand in long lines early in the morning. I had to quickly become a patient man in a system where they are not in a rush at all because of the many people that has to be serviced. And then it's a possibility that you not prepared properly and they can turn you away or either deny you. And I didn't have the time to waste. I didn't have the time for small mistakes or errors, or to forget A, B, C, and X, Y, Z of things that I needed to get the resources and the help that I needed. And even a little bit before that, if I may rewind just a little bit, I had to basically know that I needed help to help me and my son. And that burden wasn't necessarily just on me, but it was. But I knew that I didn't have the education nor the wisdom and the knowledge, or knew the resources that I needed to care for my son as a single father and a widower. So I had to recognize and realize that I needed help, and I needed help for my son as well as him needing help. So I had to differentiate all those different realms of who needed help, why, and where it was going to come from, and at what time. I understood that my strong prayer life and my faith was only part of the help, and the large part of it, a greater percentage of it. And then
Right.
I understood that other departments and other foundations and other systems was going to provide the other half of the help for myself and my son. So I had to step up as a man all around, because I had a conversation with myself and I told myself, We took a loss, but we don't have to lose everything. It does not have to tear down the whole house just because we took a loss. We don't have to lose what we have just because we lost her. We don't have to lose everything. Everything doesn't have to be destroyed just
Right.
because our hearts felt destroyed. So it
Yes.
made me step up in the middle of a crisis as a man of faith and as a man of God and as a father. It made me
Yes.
step up in the middle of a storm and not allow myself to become intimidated when it was intimidating, stepping into doors and having to speak to people and represent myself as a widower and a single father that
Right.
just lost his wife. And to ask the questions that I didn't know particularly what to ask. So I was always placed in front of someone that always wanted to know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to relive it and revisit it
Over and
every
over.
single time in front of every administrative,
Mm-hmm.
telling them and to them what happened. The who I filled in the blanks of the who, what, when, where, how, and why with everyone that they placed in front of me. And it
Wow.
was still hard to services and the things that I needed because of the gender factor of being a man.
Mm-hmm.
So that sent me into more research. I had to find out and dive into the computer and learn the computer. I was bad at computers, basically less than entry level.
Wow.
So I purchased a laptop and I had to do my prep work and my homework at home before I even leave the house to go position myself to go and find out about these organizations, these foundations, and this system that they have in place to assist those families and individuals that are like me or in the position that I'm in. And it was so hard that all the numbers that I called and the places that I went to go see, because they just wanted me to show up so that they can hear my story, for them to tell me this is what it felt like, for them to tell me that I don't qualify for anything because there's not enough things out there to help assist or service a man because they understand that he is capable. They understand that he has what it takes to survive in this land, so they didn't create anything to assist in the work that he has to do. So
Wow.
it molded and shaped my mind to be proactive and engage in such a way that I never had before. And it allowed me to continue to recognize the fight that has always been in me. So I understood my opponent, I
Mm-hmm.
understood my adversary, I understood what was so called basically against me to try to stop me and hold me down from succeeding. So it shaped my mentality and it shaped my attitude and it grew and enhanced my
Mm-hmm.
faith and empowered me with understanding, wisdom, and knowledge moving forward that I needs to be empowered. I need to get educated. I need information and I need knowledge and wisdom to help me fight what's trying to fight and stop me from being a successful, single, widowed father and man.
Well, there's also, that's and that's a shame because there should be more. There should be more out there for men who are trying to uh just basically you be able to use the help as a stepping stone until life realigns itself, adjust itself, because that's a first, it's a big blow, to have to be put in a position, first your heart is aching because the person that you love so much, you had to watch them suffer and then eventually pass. And then your heart is breaking because you also have to watch your child, uh, you know, and I know he was really small, so I know that there were moments where it was like, "Where's mommy? I want my mom." Where's this?
He
So
was
you kind of have to
turning
go through.
4.
Four, okay. Yeah, so you have to go through that, and then you have to watch your child hurt, and then you have to go against the system throughout all that hurt. Go through a system, that's basically has red tape and various different things, and I know it's not like you're trying to use the system forever, but just to kind of have that stepping stone so that you can kind of put the pieces back together and then you can fly. you know there's a period of time that I know that we had talked about before, um, in which I think it's important to talk about for other men who had to kind of go through losing a wife or losing, a mother of their child. Um, it's recognizing when your children needs a little extra help in this. Noticing that there's some things that your children are actually going through, and stepping back and say, hey, this is out of my expertise, out of my area, out of what I know about, and then reach out and try to get some assistance with that. Can you kind of go over that moment, because I know our son, had those moments where, he is his mother's death took a toll on him, and you had to come to that realization that further help was needed. Can you kind of let the people know about that time period?
Yes. One of the first things that it brings me to mind is he grew up in church. So church was basically church and school was the only two things that he really knew. So with him being a preacher's kid and me being the example, he understood that it was something extraordinary going on with himself and with his family. Because he's always been in church and in service, and what the kind of service when we church, and he spent a lot of time in the spirit, as far as in the presence of God, without really fully understanding what all that is, but still experiencing it. But I knew that it was something that worked for us and is working, will continue to work. But I had to separate that from the other doors that God had opened up and other means that God had out there and opportunities that He allows us to utilize, that it may be the kind of help that he needed. So a lot of his behavior would come out while he's at school, and I understood what a large part of it was. So I would go to these meetings at the school to talk to the teachers and the principals and the administrators at the schools. And once again, I would have to explain to them the story and why the family of the Youngs, father and son, coexist without a mom. And I would have to ask questions and try to find out, or they would just tell me, well, we have these programs and this and that can help him or help you only to this extent. We may not be able to help you with A, B, and C, but we can help you with X, Y, and Z. And hopefully, this is something that you would take advantage of because we believe that it can help. So I had to let the help in those areas where I truly believe, yes, prayer and the word and being in church and God and Jesus and all these different things, is our everything because of the way that we live and stuff like that. Because I was already a minister before I got married. So I was already a minister before we eventually had Reuben Jr. So that it was already my lifestyle and it's the way that I lived. But I couldn't be so tunnel vision based on that and stubborn or looking at myself like I'm deficient or dysfunctional or not capable and all these different things that tried to play on my ego at the time. And I had to let the help, and I had to let the professionals be the professionals, and the
Yes.
experts be the experts, and the specialists be the specialists, and do what they do. So the wisdom and the understanding of that was opened and kicked in my
Mhm.
mind. So I filled all the paperwork, and I met all the appointments, and I sat and talked to all the people and stood in all the long lines and sat in all the meetings and wrote all the stuff and the behavioral analysis assessments, and sitting in front of psychiatrists and therapists, and they trying to diagnose this and diagnose that, and they trying to say this and say that and prescribe this and prescribe that, and just that whole battle of them basically trying to take control of you and your child in that situation, instead of just keeping it at assisting and rendering a service. They were basically trying to find fault with my fatherhood. They were just basically trying to find fault with the way that I'm raising my son. And they want to come visit. They want to come in. They want to look. They want to record. They want to take pictures. They want to rewind. They want to store. They want to replay. And they just want to critique and stereotype and all these different things, to where it seems like getting the help, it was more almost like an attack, like an invasion, because I guess they were so um, bewildered in their mind, excuse me, that we're dealing with a man, a father, and his son, and a strong man at that, and a man of faith, where words of wisdom is coming out of his mouth. And we keep asking him, does he smoke? Does he drink? When the last time he did drugs? And he doesn't do none of that. And we can't find anything to get us proactive and get us started to act where we used to, or where we've been conditioned and where we've been good at, to strip or tear apart or separate this family, to where he's presented a united strong front of strength and power and understanding, to where he's placing us and forcing us to do our job and do what we said we were able to do, and produce what we said we're able to produce, because he's engaging, he's present, and he's active. And he has his files, he has his paper, he has everything lined up. And we can't do anything but give him what we told him he qualifies for. So we have to do it. But the
Wow.
attacks didn't stop. The attacks was every meeting. Have you had anything to drink? Have you had anything to smoke? No. I'm in church. I don't do none of those things. But I understand that there may be people that do, so they have to check. But just at that time, in that place in my life where I was, it just felt like an attack, like they was trying to really find fault concerning my parenting and all that kind of stuff. So I eventually took parenting and I got a certificate, and they turned around and wanted me to work for them and asked me had I worked for the county before. I eventually started working with them in the mailroom in the Beverly um, County DPSS as a mail clerk for the county. They gave me a certificate that they employees usually would have to go to college and take a course for, because I
Mhm.
already came in with the tools of an intake worker, being a part of the county in the gain system, trying to gain employment. One of the hindrances why I had to go that route is being a single father and a widow, yes, at the same time, but I was fighting having a criminal record. So I had to get my certificate of rehabilitations and have my rights restored and go through all that from 4 felonies. So I qualified for 4 certificates of the of having my rights restored, the 4 certificates of rehabilitation to have my rights restored, and it took the 4 felonies through the court system
Okay.
to restore my rights, and it got rid of the felonies.
Okay.
So I had to basically use the system against the system while in the system, for them
Mhm.
to kick me out of the system, and I could become more
Mhm.
independent and dependent
Okay.
upon God and other resources as a full citizen that has its full rights.
Right. Right. Do you think they, with you getting the help, um, do you think they dabbled into your past a little bit and maybe try to use some of that against you? Maybe why they kind of a lot of the red tape a little bit, all the things that they were taking you through.
Yes, no doubt, because when you fill out any applications of any for any services or any help or any monies or whatever like that, they want to basically know everything about you. And the questionnaire, excuse me, that they have you ever been incarcerated, or have you committed a crime, or do you have felonies? So I had to fill out this paperwork correctly. But what they didn't realize is basically rehabilitation was caused by way of salvation. So I had accepted salvation, and I took my salvation serious. So the salvation allowed the rehabilitation, and rehabilitation is change. So I had allowed change to come into my life because of salvation, which in turn allowed me to have a resume, and it allowed me to have a portfolio of working with gang intervention at risk youth, being a part of church and the ministry, working with the community. So all that, I understood that I was building a resume of works. I was building a resume of labor, and I was building a resume that they would have to honor my labor as a changed man instead of looking at my criminal background from the old man. So I
Right.
had to represent my file and my portfolio of who I am and who I was at that time versus the criminal background. So I had to present to them documents. I got letters from the jobs that I had in the schools and the professors that I sat in their class and allowed them to teach me. I got character letters and collected character letters from these individuals that I knew that had something good to say about me. I asked them, could they put it in the letter form, because I have some work concerning my image. So I allowed the good things that I was doing in my life at that time to work with me concerning the system to change my image, which presented my rehabilitation in the eyes of the criminal justice system and the court system in the world, of my image of being a former felon to a now upstanding citizen.
I'm kind of glad the conversation kind of went that route because I wasn't going to even go that route as far as your past having to play a part in that, but which is good because lives. Sometimes we make mistakes, we make choices, and sometimes some of those choices and things uh, will rear its head in the future, even though we may have made some changes. But it's good that we're bringing it up because this could happen to anyone, and
Yes,
it's called being prepared
yeah,
for the inevitable. Like using your experience, there could be another father who could have gone through a background and maybe have had a criminal background and various different things, and they're in a position to now have to take care of a child for whatever reason. The mother could have passed, and I see it. And just because you have a past does not mean that you're not a father who will take responsibility for your children and eventually become a better man. But sometimes the system, because of the things that have happened in the past, will kind of come against you when you're trying to do the right thing.
yes,
And so I'm glad that you brought some light to that, because that can give hope to some men who are trying to be a better man, a better father, for their children, and just to let them know, hey, yes, you may have some opposition along the way, but be prepared. Get your everything in order. Get some character
yes,
letters. Create you a file. It's like basically staying one or two steps ahead. Because if you know you have a past, some of these things can eventually come up in something. And so
Yes,
start getting your
they're
ducks in a row
designed to.
because you know you have this, then okay, start doing some community service, get yourself in church, and start creating you a file because you never know what can happen. We would like to think things are not gonna happen, but
There's
you
some
know,
there's some sacrifices that's gonna have to take place once you know where you messed up and you have to clean up. So some
Mhm.
sacrifices that you're gonna have to make is this: you may have to become a volunteer for a season, show up for 30 minutes or an hour somewhere to do a service. You may have to do some charitable work and not get paid for it, but the understanding comes here, and you negotiate it with whoever the head administrative is. I'll
Mhm.
come, clean up your yard, I'll clean up your park, I'll help clean your facility, not for payment. If you want to pay me, that's fine. But I would
Right.
like to show up an hour every other day, twice a week or something, to do some community service work, volunteer, to wash some walls or whatever like that. And the only thing I want you to do is document these times and check my work, rate my work, and keep them in a letter or in a folder. These scheduled times of my work performance, my attitude performance, how I work well around others, how I work well with people, how I carried myself, and all these the descriptive terminology concerning
Mhm.
how it was to work around me and be around me. I just need this documented so that, because I need to build a portfolio, I need to build a resume of some services that I have to take care of concerning my past. And I'm
Right.
seeking to be rehabilitated so that my rights as a U.S. citizen can be restored. So you may have to need, because you may have a job to where the supervisors don't like you, so you may not be able to use your job. So you have to do other. You got to go basically go to the extreme, and all these things are the tools to help you fight the fight that you have to fight. And you
Right.
can win. You can do it. You just have to get the knowledge and the information and use wisdom and
Yes.
discretion, not be full of ego and pride or shame and all these different things to come upon you, because people may see you sweeping around a church, or people may see you sweeping around a facility or painting some walls or picking up some trash and all that or kind of stuff. Know that you're doing this for a reason. Know
Yeah.
that you have a why. Know that you have an aim. Know that you have a reason why you need to do these things for the greater good. So you may have to sacrifice some time and sacrifice some turn up and sacrifice some parties and sacrifice some visits here and there to rebuild yourself,
Yeah.
reestablish yourself, and
Mhm.
work on your image as a
Yes.
man.
Right. Wow, that's good. Boy, time flies when you're having a good conversation. Ah,
Absolutely.
so we are coming to the end of the show, but I did want you to just leave a little word of encouragement for our men today. Another father who may be going through the same situation as you, just leave a little bit of encouragement for them, so
Yes.
that they can say, "Hey, I can make it too."
Yes. I would say today you may find yourself in a deep, dark pit, but if you look up, you'll see light. And you can get, and the more they put dirt in that pit, you begin to raise up. But you have to want to get up. That pit is not permanent, it's only temporarily. And because it's temporary, change is going to come, but you have to want it. You have to embrace it. And you have to go after that change, not receiving anyone's permission but yours. And your permission, you giving yourself permission to get up out that pit, and the strength and the hope and the faith to raise yourself up out of that pit is all you need. You're not too deep in that pit where God cannot raise it, put his hand down and raise you up out of that pit. You have to want it. So you may have to raise your hands up while your hands is down by your side and your head is down. While you in that pit, look, get up, chest out, chin up, look to the sky, and raise your hands and cry out, Jesus, my Lord, I need your help.
Yes.
And I decree and declare that today it is not a warranty, but a guarantee. He will hearken to the voice of your cry and hear you and raise you up out of that pit.
Yes.
To where the only way you will ever even return to the pit is to help another man or help another brother out of that pit. And I leave you with this today. And I hope that encourage any man, any father, single father, widower, brother that finds himself down in any kind of pit. Get up, chin up, chest out, look up, and hands up, and cry out to God so that he can raise you up out of that pit or that situation that you in, because he declares that he's a very present help in the time of trouble.
Yes.
Be encouraged.
Yes. Oh, that was wonderful. Well, we're coming to the end of the show, but I did want to say our next show will be 2 weeks from now on a Wednesday. So I won't get the opportunity, but our anniversary is coming up. Our 3rd year and a wedding anniversary, y'all. We'll be married 3 years.
See, you
So
got me showing all my teeth. They didn't know I had all these teeth.
So happy anniversary, babe. And I thank you for everyone who has viewed in. I'm gonna have to have you back. My husband has so much information bottled up on the inside of him that you can't get it all out in one show. So so thank you for tuning into. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to the Nations with Prophet Simone Williams Young. I pray that something was said that lifted your spirit. I pray that something was said that helped you say, I too can walk this journey. And just know that with the help of God, greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. You can do anything that your mind sets to do. I'm not a widower. I've never been a widower, but I know how it is to lose somebody special. So I pray your strength on today. And men, we love you. We love you. And we are here for you.
I got one more quick thing, babe.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just get you anybody, man. Get you a her. And that's all I gotta say.
All
you
right,
can't just have anybody. Get you a her.
Get you a him. Well, if you're a woman, get you a him. All righty. Well, this concludes our show, and I thank you everyone for tuning in, and I appreciate you all, and you guys have a wonderful night.
I know the Lord will see you through. Turn to somebody and say, trouble don't last. Yeah, trouble don't last always. Do you really mean it? Come on, say it again, trouble.